to Power Dream Sisters and Sisters Ministries. My name is, and I meant not to say but I did, is Brenda Justice, and I'm founding president of Power Dream. We are advocates against domestic violence, spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, and financially. Thank you to our audience here and everybody else, and also to the virtual audience as well. We are glad to have you. And we're also very glad to have our special guest today, Tiffany Millirons. And it's going to be very nice because our title is Trust the Process. And by the time we're done, we're going to be able to trust the process. So before we begin, would each of you say that? Trust the process.
Trust the process.
Individually now, I'm going to start with you.
Trust the process.
Trust the process.
Trust the process.
Trust the process.
Trust the process. Trust the process.
Trust the process. May you trust the process?
Oh, yes. You trust the process.
Trust the process.
Trust the process.
Trust the process.
Don't you feel good when you say it?
Trust.
Yes. So we're going to be a little informal today because we all know what we're about today. And Tiffany, we're going to let you say a little bit about who you are, a few things about what you've gone through that even brought you to this position today to inspire us and inspire our virtual audience on what we can do to get out of some of the situations that we're in. And a lot of times we go to domestic violence in different ways. I mean, it might be physical, which of course everybody thinks that's what we do, but it can be in a very emotional state and in a very spiritual state as well. And so I'm going to let you do what you do. And then first of all, right before you do, I want to also introduce you to our co-chairs of Cherish. We have Nancy Jacobs, and our other co-chair is Carla Portis.
Hello, everyone.
So after you're done, we're going to open the floor for questions and answers, and we want to invite you to speak from your heart.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tiffany Millirons once again, and first of all, I want to say a little prayer before we get started. Everybody bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for gathering us all together on this day, but a spiritual day for some and for me. Thank you for allowing me to accompany you guys in my story. And thank you for bringing out my friends and my family, the ones out there on, out there listening on in the media. And Lord, just please guide your hand over my thoughts and my words and in my mind, and let me just bring out what I can and let me withhold what I can. And Lord, just thank you just for allowing me to actually see this day. I just had a birthday and
Yes,
I just turned 48, and Lord, I'm just grateful and thankful for seeing that day. And I just want to pray over the ones that are actually experiencing the abuse and all kinds of abuse, and let them get out of it in one way or another. And all of us in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
First of all, I just want to let you guys know that this is my first time. This is my first time speaking about my story in front of a group of people. I have done it individually through with friends and also family members, but to actually do it in front of a group, this is my first time. So just keep me in your prayers as I get through this, and go from there. Like I said, my name is Tiffany Millirons, and I am actually a 2-time survivor, one with breast cancer, and another with abusive relationship. I want to start off with thanking God for holding my hand and my head up high when I was going through that massive event. And actually both events were massive. Being first diagnosed with the breast cancer, and for a week, within that week, being diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. And then before then, I was in the abusive relationship. And I also would like to thank the people that was there in my life, my family and my friends. I know you couldn't do much, but just being there mentally was enough for me. Like I said, the survivor of the movement is breast cancer. My cancer was influenced by hormones, specifically estrogen, estrogen receptor, positive HR plus breast cancer. And then I was mentally, physically, and sexually abused. And I'll explain the sexual later. And I was influenced by somebody who constantly threatened me with the violence, with the disrespect, and with the harm to me and my oldest child. Starting off with, an abuse in a relationship can be physical, sexual, and or emotional. The signs of an abusive relationship is communication, 1, isolation, financial control of your money, and forcing you to do things that you don't have no control of or no say-so of what not to do. Then you have the manipulation of it all. Insulting you, it could be indoors, out in public, in front of people, calling you out of your name, anything, stupid, dumb, the B word, all of it, making you feel guilty of doing things that you felt that it was unnecessary, you didn't do. Then you have healthy relationships that involves both partners building each other up. Then you have the abusive relationship involve the one person, it could be man or woman, tearing the other person down. Then you have physical violence. This is a well-known in abusive relationships. And if you are ever hit, verbally talked about, talked too crazy in any way, shape, or form, then most likely you are in a abusive relationship. Now, dealing with a abusive partner, if you're in an abusive relationship, your best course of study is take action to end it. Now I'm going to explain that. Of course, it says for you to end it. Any and everybody you start talking to, Vinny, you know, their first thing is you got something that will judge. Girl, I ain't gonna take that. I wouldn't take that. First of all, you don't know what you're gonna take. I think when I first noticed being in, and this is crazy because the person he asked me this in the car, what would you do if somebody, I think it was somebody hit you or something. And the first thing that came out of my mouth was, I'll call the police. He said, well, I don't think me and you could be in a relationship. I didn't really put it into perspective. I don't know where my head was at the time. But when it actually was going on, he was testing me. And now I'm looking back at all of this, and this is what I'm telling you about my whole experience. I tell the story all the time. I only told it to one person that was really, really close to me indoors, and was going left real quick. But we would get into arguments, and he would literally have like a bottle or something, was trying to test me, would hit me upside the head. But at this time, I'm like, I was kind of like don't want him to leave and all this and that. But he was testing me, and it was the testing part at the beginning. He would test people to come to my house, men. He would test people to come to my house to see what I would do while he's not there. I would open up my door, and they're like, is he here? I'm like, no, he's not here. Well, he told me that he was here to come over, and I'm like, why would he tell you that? He's not here. So then the person would leave, and I'll tell him you came. He would come home, and I say, hey, such and such. No, he would say, did anybody come? I'm like, you know somebody came here. Well, who came? I'll tell him who came. Then maybe like the next day or that night or whatnot. Well, he said, you said this, and it was just like a whole bunch of back and forth. And this, a whole bunch of lies was being told that I did not say. So, then it was the constant trying to test me, see what I was going to do. But then, where I kind of gave him the benefit of the doubt was he had a death in his family, which was his brother. So, of course, you're going to go through some things, you know, when you have that close of a relative. So, that's where I gave him the benefit of the doubt. So, he was, like, basically, now here we go with the abuse, the verbal. It started off verbal. So it was like, okay, I get it. And then when I was working in a nursing home and with one of my best friends, and she saw right through it. I'm all in love and all this other. He talking about marriage and everything, and I'm like okay with it. But then he started saying things that I wasn't recognizing it, but I'm saying it to my friend, and she was like, "Are you kidding me?" You know, this, that, and third. And fast forward, one day she said, "This is the where it got real." One day she said, "Good morning, sunshine," and I said, "Good morning." I was working third shift, and he thought that was kind of on the gay side. So another thing I didn't know is he had a addiction of cocaine, and I didn't find that out until maybe about 4 years ago, and because it explained a whole bunch of things. So he would come home and he would be so like sweaty and wouldn't talk and was always walking around the house with a knife, like literally walking around the house with a knife. I'm like, what is going on? But then he would find things to talk about. The things that he would talk about was things that was being brought up in my past from I know for a fact other people knew about. But going back and telling me because they had a motive. I knew it wasn't a lie, but it didn't have nothing to do with him. He went over all the boyfriends that I had, went over there in this truck, and I'm not making this up, and confronted that person and the other cousins that was there, and they're stuck. They don't know this dude. He tells them, they're like, oh, it's nothing. And I'm not even with these people. Done with them. But he went over, I'm talking about the last person he went, was Barbara, he went over to the parents' house. The next morning, he made me get in the car and went over to the parents' house. The last address that he knew of. This person got his own house and everything. He didn't get out the car. But this is stuff that was triggering him and was saying I'm lying about because of what other people was going back and saying. That didn't have nothing to do with him. So this one particular night, he called all his family members about that Good Morning Sunshine, and I'm in the shower, and I'm like, I don't understand why you making a big deal. Anyway, he got upset, dragged me out the shower. I'm sorry, Mom. Dragged me out the shower, kept saying, I told your ass not to this. Took an iron and just started beating me. Kimberly did it. He just started beating me over the head. All right here, my eye was shut. I was still working. And that, to the point, what saved me was a couch was in my room, in my spare bedroom, and I just hid up underneath the couch. So all he had was just this. And so when he got done, and I don't think he wasn't even high. He wasn't even on anything, at all. And when he got done, I ain't have no words. I never got done like that before in my life, so I didn't have no words. And I just wanted to die at that point. I had some ibuprofen 800s from a previous surgery, and I just tried to take as many as I could. First of all, my head was pounding, and he just looked, apologized. So that was the first abuse. So we went from the verbal to the physical. And it just went from there. Because he figured that I didn't call the police or anything. I didn't even go to the hospital. I had to get I called off work a couple of times. They started noticing. It was errors. And so his family even started noticing, but the family didn't say anything at all. It was like, are y'all for real? They knew. His family. Even some of my cousins started noticing, and it was basically two of them. But these are the same cousins who started. Without me kind of like not noticing, but y'all started it. Because you ran your mouth about nothing. So now you want to go tell other family members, oh, we got to do something, we got to stop. No, you ain't got to do nothing. Even my friends, you go and tell my friends. But y'all ain't never tell my mom. At this time, I couldn't tell my mom. The next, it was basically in between that, he would just try to find little things to get at. Like, now I'm like, me being me, I know what you can do. He would take me over his ex-girlfriend's house and try to have her fight me when I would try to tell him to get out. So get out. Oh, you want me to get out? Oh, okay. Well, he has my keys to my car. He drags me in my car, takes me to this girl's house. He never went up to the door because the girl never came out. But I'm shaking so bad. So I'm just, at this time, I didn't have no cell phone. So cell phones was definitely in. But he had a cell phone. He had the computer. I didn't have anything. I was gaining weight, my hair falling out, all of it. Diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, all of it. And get mad if I don't cook Sunday dinner. How you gonna get mad at somebody if you don't even go to church? We're Sunday dinner, it's dinner. Then one time, he left, came back high, I was cooking fish. Sorry, Mom. I was cooking fish. He came in the door, I knew it. The way my kitchen was set up, I had no out entrance. I was stuck. I ain't yelling, do you want something to eat? I can't even remember what it was, the confrontation was about, but it was always like, I'm lying about something. He said, shut the fuck up, I'm gonna pour that hot grease. What did he do? This is why I have attached it. From here to here, I had 2nd-degree burns. It was so bad. I go to St. Thomas, like, oh, this time the hospitals are not asking you, are you safe in your own home? They're not. And every time I go to the doctor to this day and they ask me that question, I get so pissed. And I tell one of the nurses, I wish I would have asked that question a couple of years ago. When I went to work with my arm covered up, the one nurse had me in the office, and she was a real good close friend of mine. I was in a social group called Sisters and Brothers Social Club. And I had some people that was in it who I thought was by my side. The only one person that was by my side, she's not here. And she was there, and I'm talking there, to the point where she was ready to be kidnapped. So, I mean, I'm sorry about the language, but it was that. My boss told me, she said, well, I'm gonna have to let you, she actually changed my shift from 3rd to 2nd. And his thing was he couldn't trust me, he didn't like my friend, and all this and that. Everything was a lie, everything was this. I wasn't cooking, and of course, I stopped cooking, we was just eating out, ordering stuff. I ended up gaining almost 300-something pounds, you know. His mom was sitting in here taking me to the thrift store. I ain't had no job. I mean, none of that. Mom at the time didn't know. But where it got real was my son was involved. So my oldest son was involved. I was helping him with his homework one day, and he got instantly mad about something. He took the plate and threw it. It just missed my son's shot. So I said, you know what? Yeah, I started drumming up stuff in my head at this point. I'm like, yeah, we're not doing that with my son. But I couldn't fight back, y'all, because his mind was like a time bomb in a Credible Hulk. Even though he was short and, you know, stumpy looking, it was like the strongest things just came out, and I couldn't fight back. Then it was like, when I would fight back, it just got worse. He took a bed rail and started hitting my kneecap with it. He took the end of a crutch and started banging me, and this was the time, sorry, Mom, you came to the house, you didn't even know it. I had blood all in my head. He had literally just did it. I had blood all in my hair. It was in the kitchen. I was standing by the sink, and I was like, oh, I hope she see it. But he was standing right there. Because I know you just popped up out of nowhere. But I ended up going upstairs, and I washed it all out, and I still have the mark to this day there. Then he got mad at me again. He took a 10-pound weight and broke my whole side of the face. I'm still not talking. But now my friends, but then after that, I started talking. I started sleeping. Mom started buying me cell phones. He said, every time your mom buys a cell phone, break it. He would. As soon as he see it, he'll break it. She'll buy another one, he'll break that. My grandmother started buying cell phones, he'll break that. The last cell phone, that cell phone probably is still there to this day. I hid it up top in the basement, up top of the vent. It's probably still there. He ain't getting this. I had 2 dogs. He abused the dogs. I had a Nikita, beautiful. They took a liking of her. And he would just, when he couldn't beat me no more, he would just beat the dog. Beat the dog. Beat the dog. For what? The dog just got scared. And it was like, I had no control. I wanted to tell everybody. I think I even called you out a couple of times, but I ain't really elaborated on it much. Because I was too scared. I couldn't trust no, at this point, I couldn't trust nobody. Everybody kept saying, you get out. I left twice. I did. First time I ran, I called a cab. To Mom. was calling me. He kept saying, come back, I ain't gonna do nothing. He lied. I came back, I snuck out the house, went back. He opened up all the blinds, all the lights, made me get naked, and was like, this is what you want, this is what you out here doing. He thought I was out with another guy. Why he thought that was because he didn't physically see me come out of her house. I was sitting on the steps on the front porch when he pulled up. So he figured somebody dropped me off. Then the second time I left and went over to my friend's house, my friend Jennifer's house. He did the same thing. So I finally went back home. That went worse. So like every time I would leave and come back, it just got worse and worse and worse. So people was making plans for me, but I wasn't taking the initiative of taking those plans, because you can't make a plan for somebody who's in an abusive relationship if they're not ready, because that abuser will be 10 steps ahead of you every time.
Right.
It was to the point where I would get another job. I had another job working. I was living on the east side of Akron. My job was up on almost a Talmadge. I had my son, and I had to be at work at 4. I had no way to get my son to my mom's house. And he had my car. He wouldn't come home with the car. I had to walk to my job in the cold, in the snow, with my son. There's no Lyft, there's no Uber. When he came back, he didn't even believe me, because my pants and stuff wasn't, wet. I walked in the street and my son walked on the sidewalk. I don't believe you. He made me walk halfway to my job to see if I was lying about, because I didn't have, no salt or whatever on my pants. So I started making a plan. So the next, you have to have a plan. If you really want to get out, you have to think of the plan. You cannot tell, when you think of this plan at first, you cannot tell nobody what you're doing, because at first, now you don't know who you can trust, you just don't at this point. Let me back up a bit. How my son, the first plan was I started telling people what was going on, and we went to child guidance, because now my son, he started having tics, he started stuttering, he started, it just wasn't good. So when we went to child guidance, that was my way out. He couldn't come in the room. I done got to the point where I sprained my ankle, went to the hospital, couldn't go, I started telling. I just started telling. With child guidance, I told that lady, I said, this is what's going on. This man is abusing me, this, that. She said, if you miss one appointment, and I had her totally I forgot she told me that if you miss one appointment, we're going to have to. So I did, by accident. I missed that appointment. CSB come knocking on my door. He wasn't, was he there? Yeah, he was there. He was there. But Cameron was in school. And the police was with her. I was like, oh my God. But I did not know who, I didn't know who called. I thought Cam said something to the principal at school. So I'm like, good. I'm good. She came in. We literally just went grocery shopping. So of course everything is stocked. My house is of course clean. So, and he's like, oh, nothing's going on here. We're good. This, that. I'm looking at her like, I'm just looking at her. She's like, I don't want to talk to you. What's going on? I'm like, we're fine. When she left, all hell broke. He needed his ass whooped. I know he was the one who said something. He went to that school running his mouth. Well, I'm in my head like, yeah, he did. But it wasn't. It was the lady at child guidance. She said, you missed your appointment. So he literally, he wasn't gonna put his hands on camera, but he just kept saying he needed that, but we need to be on punch. We needed it. That lady told me, if you don't tell your mom what's going on, we're gonna take your child. She had no idea. So I told her. And I said, Cameron has to come with you. So I basically gave up my son for this nut. And the only reason why I did that was because even outside of my house, even when KJ was born, he was abused. I didn't know what he was capable of. So I had to, and I'm glad I did. Just to know that I feel so bad all these years. You know, Cameron had so much animosity towards me. I never knew why. And like, the animosity too, sometimes it was disrespect, but I'm your mom. And we had to have an intervention, and he finally broke through. I came here, I couldn't say nothing. So, people, when you are making your plan, at first you don't tell them, but then when you're into your planning, then you want to add the people that you think that you can trust, tell them precisely what you're going to do, and that's what I started doing. I started making my plan as follows. KJ was a surprise. And it was a lot. When it was God. It was nothing but God. And we ended up having a new pastor, Pastor McDuffie came, and I just had foot surgery. My mom took me home from the hospital. That man came in the house. She was so mad that my mom brought me home. She was like, "What?" He was like, "I told you not to come home." She was like, "Well, I brought my daughter home. The dog ain't had no food." She went to the store and bought the dog food, and Mom and him almost got into a couple of confrontations. The next day or that week, Reverend McDuffie and his family came and said, "The devil is not going to keep you here. You are going to come back to church. I am here to get you." Him, his wife, and his son. I was sitting on the couch, all wrapped up. Next thing I know, he would leave. At this point, I didn't care. He had my car. He would leave and come back home. I was fine. He said to my face, he said, "You know what? Y'all win. Y'all win. You and your mom win," because my mom was always in the business. Mm-hmm. Always in the business. Always in there. Always, you know. She didn't care. She ain't gonna care. She don't care how tall you are, how little you are. Mm-hmm. She's not gonna care. Mm-hmm. And he got so mad that he just said, "Fine." So my plan was that with Reverend McDuffie starting off. Then my next plan, I started going back to church. Every Sunday, coming home, whatever, me and him bear the talk, all of it. Then I said, they're going to sell the house. Because I was ready to move. Now my friends said, "Girl, get a suitcase, get some clothes." I started giving away clothes that I couldn't fit. He thought that I was leaving it. I said, "No, I'm giving away clothes that I couldn't fit," literally. That was true. Started packing up stuff. Cameron was already gone. I ain't have to worry about that. Started packing up stuff, taking them on my mom, so the move can be easier on me. Then I told him that they want to sell the house, which they did. They sent me literally a letter saying, "Okay, these years is up. Do you want to consider buying the house or selling it?" I said, "Sell it." But then I got diagnosed with arthritis, so I couldn't go up and down the steps like I wanted to, so they approved me for one floor. So that was my way. But before that, I was moving in with my aunt. That fell through because she developed dementia. Number 2. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. And then they called me with, we got you a house. So I'm telling him, hey, look, I'm moving. He ain't believing me. He just sitting there chilling. I'm getting boxes in at this time, whatever. So then I got appointed to go to our district conference for CME. Me and Cameron go. I ended up getting super sick. I'm talking about, this was in Dayton. Super sick. I didn't know what was going on. I come back. I am whole pregnant. And he said, as soon as I stepped in the door, you're pregnant. What? You'll do anything just to keep me. No, he went to Save a Line, got 2 pregnancy tests for a dialer. You see who here?
Not here.
13 years old? A dialer. Them jokers came up positive. I was so in denial. I said, you can't be serious right now, Lord. I am trying to get out of this. I am out. At this time, I'm out. I'm packing my stuff. I'm out. So I was in denial. I took 6 pregnancy tests, went to an actual doctor, went to my friend who was sonogram. She took my, and she said, the egg is right there. Mom took me, she's pregnant. I had already had an abortion years ago, and I think if I wouldn't have had that abortion, I would have, KJ wouldn't be here. Because I couldn't. I was only 5 weeks. I come home, he done cooked a whole meal for his kids, ain't said nothing to me. We get to arguing. I said, that's it, I'm done. You gotta go. I called my mom came over. What you gonna do? Because you can't stay here, you gotta go. I'm 5 weeks, you're putting your hands on me, I'm 5 weeks pregnant. I'm not doing this. So then as I got bigger, I finally moved into my house. Fast forward, we're cordial at this point. After I had the baby, KJ had to been about, I think 5-6 weeks. Because I was ready to get out of the house. I was on my way to church. He was just saying, I don't want no man around my kid, business. Okay, I honor that for a year. One of the members came to pick me up in a Cadillac truck because we did not have a van. Our church didn't have a van, so he was using his truck to pick members up. Come Cadillac truck. This dude pops up at my house with his 3 kids to come see the baby. I said, I'm on my way to church. I could not open up the door because I'm waiting on the guy to come pick me up. Okay? And he was in the driveway, and when he came to pick me up, he pulled in behind me. He flipped out. He had the baby in his hand. I'm trying to get out the house. Oh, you got this in there. I'm like, that's the guy from the church. He's coming to pick me up. No. He gave my baby, I'm breastfeeding all of it. No formula inside. None of it. He had my baby. He gives the baby to his son. He tells the kids, go get in the car with my baby. Locks the door with the kids in it. Me and him out there physically fighting. Dude that's in the truck, he stayed in the truck, and he backed up and parked on the street so dude was able to get out. We're out there fighting to the point where I backed up wrong and tore everything that was in my left foot. And go to church with no baby, that whole church lost it. Everybody. Where's the baby? Where's the baby? Where's the baby? He did what? This. I don't even know where he lived where he was living at this time. Because when I left, he left. I don't even know. He was being very secretive about his whereabouts. Called the police. Well, that's his baby. Well, what do you want me to do? Well, where is he at? I don't know where he at. Mom on the phone with him. You better bring that baby back. You know. He brings the baby back at 6 o'clock in the afternoon. I will never forget. I said, don't you ever in your life ask for my child. Do not ever ask for my child. But I was not trying to harm him. I just wanted to see my baby. You could have saw him after I got out of church. Don't ever ask for my child. And he did not. That baby never went back over to his house. KJ started walking at 9. It was like God was just trying to tell us, little boy, hey, we about to get you going because we need for you to start telling. And I said, you're not ever going over there until you start talking. He started walking at 9 months. He started talking at 1. Lost his 2 front teeth at 1. When he started going over there, he didn't want to go back over there no more. He just, one day out of the clear blue sky, was going to the doctor, and he was like, what's wrong with him? Because I told him, you cannot smoke in front of him. Like, it was just one thing after another. And KJ ended up developing asthma real bad. He said, Mommy, I don't want to go back over that. He just keeps smoking. I'm like, you're smoking cigarettes around him? No, I'm not. Yes, you are. And it just, he wouldn't stop until he got sick. And I didn't even know how sick he was. And he came over my house. I even had a guy friend. He was stalking him. He was stalking him. My guy friend was like, what is going on? This, and that, and third. It was serious. But then he came home and was like, I'm sick, I'm really sick. And he wouldn't tell me what was going on, but he ended up apologizing to me about everything. He said, I am so sorry for what I did to you. I was wrong. I just sat and listened, because you have 8 kids by 4 different baby moms. I don't even know if I was the worst, because the one before me, I heard stories that I was just like, oh, he jumped on me in the hospital after I had cake. Forgot about that. Because the doctor came in and said, oh, your tube will, I had my tubes tied. Because I didn't want to have no more kids by this man. Oh, it came out great. What you mean? You got your tubes tied? Yes, I got my tubes tied. Which I wasn't thinking. Because I wanted one day to be married and have another baby by my husband, but I was so distraught that I said, give me the papers, let me sign. And he jumped on me in the bed. It wasn't bad, but it was the fact that he did. Then he got mad because of the name. He wanted to name him after his grandfather. I did not. And he said, well, I'm not going to be in his life. Well, fine. And so then, but I wasn't out of it. He was still manipulating me, and I wasn't out of it. And so I ended up naming him after that. But then KJ's birthday, his 5th birthday came up, and the week before his birthday, I asked him if I can have the Millirons put in and the other name out, and he was like, yes. So, because you have to ask the father, which is stupid. You have to ask the father for the name change, and it says that on there. You can't have it, or he was going to be stuck with that. And so, the next week was KJ's birthday, and then that weekend, him and his dad and his grandfather took him to the store to get stuff for his birthday, and that 2 days after, me and him ended up in the hospital, but I did not know he wasn't going to make it out. And I was distraught. I was very distraught, because now I'm like, how I'm going to tell my son that his dad is gone. But before then, his apology was that, because he knew that he wasn't going to make it. He ended up dying, sitting up in his walker from a massive heart attack. Then that next year, his mom died of the same thing, the same way. Then his dad died 3 years after that. He ended up with Alzheimer's. His grandfather was the one that really was there for KJ. But they all knew what was going on. he had jumped on me inside his mom's house in front of his mom. His mom probably was no littler than you, and she couldn't do nothing. This time I'm ready to walk to my mom's house. I cannot say that I survived that. But you know how it says opposites attract, and it seems like everybody say, "Oh, Tiffany, you are a beautiful woman. You know, you always dress, you always do this," and I do, and it's like I have a heart of gold. Me and Brenda were sitting talking because me and her are the same sign Aries, and we both said it's our heart. It's our heart, and it just seems like I attract the most craziest men. No, true story. I attract the most craziest men. And it's like, I try to get out of it. But when I do get out of it, they come back 10 times crazy. Yeah, I need you to get your stuff and get up out of my house. What? You want me to get your stuff again? Now they acting real stupid. I can't just do it naturally. I think it's time for us to just part ways. You know, now they all in their feelings, and now you're getting all of this, and it's just hard. And then it's not hard. Because they'll leave, and then now you got to have all this stupidness involved with it. Just get your stuff and leave already. So when that does happen, when they want to stay, they don't believe that you're selling the house, then they have somebody break in your house and take all you got. I had to literally start all over. Like I was just homeless out here in the street. You have what's called it's called a circle of physical abuse. And what it is also known as the cycle of violence. And what I had went through was a repeating pattern of abusive behavior. Three main phrases. One is the tension building. You may come in the house, or you're in the house, something comes up, you know, words get to say it, and all that. That's your tension building. And then here comes the actual event, the abuse. And abuse can be dropping the F-bombs, you know, the F words, you know, the B's and this, that, and that, you ain't, and you stupid, this, that. Or it could be him or her actually, you know, hitting you and whatever, or just a mind thing. Mine's with him was physical. He ended up having a girlfriend. Hers was more mental because she was taller than him, and then he got weaker, you know, as his health started actually declining. So he got her mental. I mean, to the point where you guys, I pulls up. This is Mother's Day, no lie. I'm not making this up. I'm not making this up. I pulls up to his sister's house. Everybody was there, including his mom. The girl that was liking him was there. They brought her friend. He said, she ain't nothing, and she came up here herself. I didn't ask her. And I'm like, what is you talking about? I came up here to bring my child to see his grandmother for Mother's Day. How you doing? I went in the house. I ain't with that man no more. But I'm in my head like, wow. You guys, I don't know if you ever remember this accident that was on I-76, right by Brown Road exit, years ago. It involved a semi, this young lady, and it was a motorcycle group. They were doing a memorial ride for another biker who had passed away. So it was a semi, the young lady, she was new to riding a bike, and it was him. And so I was coming from church, and I was stuck in that traffic. I'm like, what the heck is going on? I get off at Wolf Legends at the time, and someone just said, get out the car. And so I was asking, they was like, oh, the semi hit the young lady, the lady hit the guy on the bike, and the girl died. And I was like, what? So I get home, I get a phone call from my friend, and she said, did you hear about, Payday Dad? And I'm like, what? He in the hospital. I flew out the house. So my boyfriend was there. I told him what was going on. I get to the hospital. Everybody had left, but he was there. I told him, I said, God, it was right, he next to you right now. He was right there when you happened, because when I get in there, you can see his skull. He had 2 broken arms, his feet, his legs, everything. He sat there. It don't even matter if you were saved by God. This girl sitting here, you still did, I want to come home with you. I want you to take, she a whole RN. And you sitting here disrespecting this chick right in front of her face, and you talking about, now she probably thinking that me and you still messing with. It's like, are you for real? I just came up here to see how you were doing. He didn't even care. That's how mentally he had her messed up. That's the mental. Reconciliation is the 3rd stage. Reconciliation, it can be him buying you flowers, gifts, take you out, and it involves sex. Mine was always sex. And it would always involve that after the beat. So, when I got beat over the head with the iron, we had sex. I took however many ibuprofen 800s and slept it off every single time. It was sex. And it was, I'm hurting, I'm in pain. I can't even believe this dude is doing this right now. All of it. Then the next day is, I'm sorry. It's always, I'm sorry. He never had a job. He couldn't keep a job. He was in jail. Then when he did have a job, he was working at a car wash. And when I was pregnant, when I found out I was pregnant, I was having a conversation with my best friend and her sister about it. And this guy was in her house. He went back and told him the whole entire conversation. And the whole entire conversation was about me leaving him. And we were done. We were over it. And when I came home, he came home and was like, if you weren't pregnant, I'll beat Joe. You know what? Right now, you running your mouth. And I was shaking things up when I got up. He took my car for work. I got up and ran over my mom's house and stayed there. I find it's, I hate to say it, because when he passed, you know, he passed, I didn't go to the funeral because they didn't even tell me about the funeral. We were preparing ourselves for the funeral that week, me and my son. And two of my family members were there. They didn't tell me what question. Where were you at? I was like, well, I didn't know. I was in the hospital that day. Daddy was going home because I had pneumonia. And the day that he passed away, I had pneumonia and they wanted to keep me. But then I left, came home, and went back the day of the funeral, didn't know. And I'm on Facebook. I'm looking at these pictures. I'm thinking they were there planning, but they were at the funeral. Then I get a phone call from my best friend like, hey, I saw the funeral procession. I lost it. I lost it to the point where everybody had to come in there and sedate me. I even called my mom, was like, why didn't you? She said, because you were in the hospital. Bethany called and was like, I am so sorry. I was like, it's fine. But my son did not get to see his dad. You guys didn't. I ended up calling the family. I cussed them out so bad. So bad. But I just felt that was very unfair. Because at the end of the day, me and him was at a headspace to where we was good. He apologized to me, and I let him know I will never forget, though. I will never. And you guys, till this day, I have post-traumatic stress, and it's going to be a never-ending until I get it together. And I have seen many counselors, but it just seems like I'm going to have to keep seeking until I actually find that one that is willing to help me get rid of this. People out there that I have ran into that is actually going through it. I don't really say much. I can't. Because it's a conversation that you literally going to have to sit down. Because I got to see where you're at, what's going on and all that. You know. I appreciate you guys having me here to tell my story, because this is actually the first time I have told my story. And I remember telling my story to my first cousin, Jackie. I was pregnant. Me and Mom was coming from somewhere. We stopped to visit her, and I got to tell her, I think I was like 4 or 5 months pregnant. She said she didn't even have no idea. Nobody did it. It's nobody's fault. But what you can't do is ignore the signs. If you hear somebody, you ain't got to go out and say nothing. Just call 911. Start making a trail for them. You know, just start making a trail for them. Because they're silent, and they're going to keep silent. But you don't have to keep silent. Even if you get a phone call from your friend, neighbor, whatever, and they start venting, and you see that sign, you just keep saying, okay, you know what, I'm just gonna pop up or whatever. Or if they call you and say, hey, I need you to do me a favor, just call the police, make it anonymous, and just have them come to the house. That's easy. Because y'all, I do not someday. I just be like, Lord, am I gonna wake up? Or am I gonna, where are my people gonna find me dead? Mama had no clue. And I know she is hot because the information that she done got today. And you guys just don't understand that I have a severe trust issue to this day. And I hate to say it, but I hate men. I hate them so much. I hate them. And I really think this is an issue that I'm going to have. And for my son, Kent, he told me out his own mouth that I was the cause of his stuttering. And he's going through this and going through that. And I understand that. And it's like, I am a good woman. I'm a good woman. And I don't understand why people treat me the way they do. All these years, I haven't known the bitch. Or just always getting cussed out because I can't keep my mouth shut because I know what I want. I know who I am. And even when I've been through cancer, and my doctors keep saying, Tiffany, you need to calm down, you need to slow down, you need to get rid of this, you need to stop doing that because it's going to come back. And I get so scared. I'm 48 years old, and I have never been so nervous about living in all my life because of the health issues that I have. And me trying to build this business, it seems like I can't get it off the ground because of certain things in my life. I try to do right, cause I try to be right for people, and I just do not understand it for the life of me. I just don't. I just really, really wish that I could I have met right and got right with God to the point where I go to church every Sunday. I am in so many choirs, and I sing for the Lord, and I do for my kids. I do for my boys. You know, and family. I had a family, and I love my family. I love my cousins and stuff. For people to do me so crazy, it's just crazy. I just don't understand it. I just don't.
Brenda.
I just my child again. I don't understand. I just want God to just put his hands over my baby and just want to do better.